Experts point out that creating awareness about sexuality is no easy conversation for some parents to have with their children. But with exposure to explicit content on the internet and the surge of false information on the topic, it is important that parents get involved. General medical practitioner Francis Martin says it's important to note that teenagers contract sexually transmitted disease, and as such, the subject should not be avoided.
Almost every week I would get to see in my practice some sort of herpes simplex virus. I am seeing a rise in syphilis among young people, herpes, as I said before, and then HTLV, which is like the cousin of HIV, human T-cell lymphocytic virus. All these viruses are what our young kids are exposing themselves to as teenagers, and these again have significant implications in the young adult and adult life. Girls have to be aware that if you have sex, a few things can happen. You can get pregnant, but more importantly, even if you don't get pregnant, it's a chance when children or teenagers transmit very dangerous diseases that they're unaware of. For example, most of the girls or boys who end up having HPV, human papillomavirus, that leads to cervical cancers and cancer of the penis, most of them transmitted this virus while they were teenagers. Some of them don't even know it exists. They don't know how to test for it, and that is the part that bothers most of all. Secondly, boys and girls or teenagers can transmit gonorrhea and chlamydia, which are sexually transmitted infections. The data is very clear that these types of infection has impact on fertility later on. So that boy and that girl who is having sex as teenagers, in other words, can be setting themselves up for infertility when the time really needs. So these are
Dr. Martin further went on to explain that in order for parents to speak with their children, they must first evaluate the relationship they have to ensure that the children feel comfortable to speak freely.
What can happen? And in some instances, you also have to be fair and open and say to them there is a safe way to have sex. Don't be afraid to say that, because abstinence is the best, but abstinence doesn't exist. The 95% of children, abstinence doesn't work for them. So show them how to use a condom properly and give them the ins and outs of how to use these different things to protect themselves. And we just have to be open and honest as possible. Also, that mother can seek the help of other people. You can take your child, a teenage girl or boy, to a doctor and have the doctor help her with that conversation.
The professional help of doctors can also be used to address the topic. He feels that the boys are often left out of the conversation.
If you ask a lot of girls, what was the single most important thing that made you know that you are now a young woman? And 100% will be able to tell you, it was when I saw my period. Now, boys have that thing too, but what is the sign that makes a boy know he has changed? A lot of boys don't know. We only recognize that sometimes boys monitor your breasts. At some stage, you're going to find that there is a lump or a seed that is very tender in your breast. You may be bathing and wiping yourself with your bath towel and realize that seed is there. When that seed disappears, the boy is now able to make sperm, and that boy can now impregnate a girl. So those are very critical things you need to let our boys know to help them to understand and navigate that very difficult situation that they're going through during teenage years.
Dr. Martin encourages parents to continue to educate their children on sex and its reality, as it is already sold in music, movies, and other common public platforms. For GBN News, I am Rena Thomas reporting.